and the man who has the job of leading the institution now, Director General, Reverend Engineer Edmund Fianko, is in studio with us. It has become an integral part of our lives. Everything we do, communication, the telephone, data we use, it's become nobody would have predicted that we would have come this far so fast as a country, and also the entire world. The NCA has been at the forefront of this. They are joining us this morning to tell us their story. Good morning.
Good morning.
And nice to see you once again.
Thank you. You too.
I hope you're well.
I'm keeping well by God's grace.
30 years at the NCA. When I say 30 years, I may be talking about you being 30 years there.
I've done over 20.
Over 20 years?
Yeah.
You spent over 20 years at the NCA?
Yeah. I said my 22nd year is this year. Yeah.
22 years at the end. So NCA was barely 8 years.
Yeah,
when you joined.
Yeah, as a national service person.
As a national service person.
Yeah.
So you've seen a lot of the progress that the institution has either made by itself and also championed in the communication sector. So I wonder how 30 years feels like to someone like you who's been there for the greater part of 2 decades. Over 2 decades.
Yeah, it's been great. There's been a lot of growth. I heard you, before I came into the studio. You were asking who gave you your license, the first one. Yeah, but as you would recall, after the 1992 Constitution came to force, I think in 93, there was this test of the Constitution by Charles Rekuru when he set up Radio I without an authorization. At the time, the statutory body for regulating frequencies was called the Ghana Frequency Registration and Control Board.
Oh, Ghana Frequency Registration
and Control Board.
Okay.
Yeah, GFRCB.
Okay.
And it was under national security.
Okay.
It was established by an SMCD decree.
Okay.
Yeah, to regulate the use of frequencies within the country.
Okay.
And one of the requirements was that before you use the radio frequency, you need an authorization from the board.
Okay.
And the case that went to court in 93 was when they set up, that is the Independent Media Corporation of Ghana. Radio I was their brand name. When they had applied and they didn't get a response, and they started. So they were arrested, the station was shut down.
Okay.
And when they were sent to court, their lawyer then, which was Nana Akufo-Addo, was the lawyer for Radio I, he raised an objection.
Okay.
A constitutional objection that per Chapter 12 of the Constitution, you don't need any form of license to carry out any form of mass media.
Okay.
So the matter went to the Supreme Court. Guess who was on the government side? It was Martin Amido.
Okay. Very interesting.
Very interesting. But the Supreme Court, with a majority decision in 1996, that was a 4-1 majority decision, ruled that it will be chaotic because the same law that said you don't need a license. The subsequent clause, I don't know, I think Article 163 is the one that says you don't need a license, and then 164 would say that it is subject to laws that are necessary for public order, national security, etc. So the court held that when it comes to the frequency for broadcasting, it needed to be regulated. The dissenting judge at the time felt that even if it needs to be regulated, the Frequency Registration and Control Board and the National Security is not the right body. At that time, the NCA Act, so there was a liberalization that had been going on from the early 90s to privatize Ghana Telecom, license a new operator, a second national operator, which then became Westel. And then once we are introducing competition into the market, you need a referee, an independent arbiter who would, ensure that everybody played fair. So in 94, at that time, Honorable Abesalia was the Minister for Transport and Communications, and he was leading the charge. And they had sent a bill to Parliament to establish the NCA as the regulator. It was sent to the president in 90. Parliament passes 94, but the president did not assent because of this pending case in the Supreme Court. Because as to whether the NCA could also regulate the broadcasting frequency. So once the decision was made in 96, then the bill was taken back to Parliament. To give the NCA the power to regulate telecoms, and frequency for broadcasting and all other services. So then the law was passed in 1996. But at this time, the frequency board itself, at that time, I think Honorable Totobi Kwache was the Minister of Information. And he had become, I think later on he became National Security Minister. By the time he was Information Minister. And they were also working with the Frequency Board to start the liberalization process. So Radio Gold was one of the people that got very early licenses. Radio Gold, Multimedia, were some of the early licensees. At the time for television, it was Crystal TV and a few others that also had private licenses to begin private radio television broadcasting. Radio Gold, Multimedia, which is Joy FM, Love FM, were some of the early stations. So you got your licenses originally from the Frequency Registration and Control Board. At that time, Major Tando was the executive secretary. But what the NCA Act did was so you mentioned transitional provisions. So all the licenses granted by the Frequency Board were transferred to the NCA. And the Frequency Board itself became the Spectrum Management Division of the NCA when it started. And then, some officials from past officials of Ghana Telecom at that time, Mr. J.K. Jima and a few others, also were appointed. He was appointed the first Director General. They started operating from the ministry. And the NCA itself took off in 97. In 97, the president today, His Excellency John Mahama, was a deputy minister. And he became minister in 98 and served as the first board chairman when the NCA itself came together at the first Rangoon close. So that's the beginning of the NCA, very modest beginnings. But since then, there's been an explosion in the broadcasting space. Telecom has grown. MTN and the others got their authorization initially from the ministry. That gave them the authorization, I think, in 95 or so. But then they actually started, operating when the NCA was established in 96. And I think the results are there for everybody to see. Prior to the NCA being established in 96, telephony penetration was under 1%. It was 0 point something. And with some of the decisions that we have made, the authority has made over the years, allowing competition in the market. In 2004, we gave long-term licenses. We moved away from annual authorizations to long-term licenses, 15-year licenses. And we saw the impact of that decision. But what it did was that it gave certainty to the businesses. Once they had a long 15-year license, they could borrow from the banks because they know they have certainty over a long period of time. So their planning horizon changed, and we saw significant growth thereafter. And you mentioned, I heard you earlier on talking about people having to queue
to buy SIM cards.
No, well, even before then, you have to queue to use the
to make calls.
To use the phone booth. To use the phone booth. And then there came the comm centers. That you had to go there to receive a call or to sometimes you have to book. And a lot has changed. And then mobile came in. There used to be very heavy devices people put in their cars. It used to be for the wealthy and the affluent. But today, virtually everybody, telephony penetration exceeds 100%, meaning that we have more telephone access lines than the population of Ghana.
Exceeds 100%?
Yes.
What do you, is it in
including
terms of
all
network
the children?
or?
No, I'm saying access lines.
Access.
And the reason is people have more than one SIMs. Because of the multi-SIMing. But I'm saying that, so the number of mobile connections in terms of connections to, as in lines or telephone lines that are active, exceeds the entire population of the country. But it's also because, I'm sure you may have two numbers.
I have one. It's difficult for me to keep two numbers, actually.
And some people do.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
but I wonder what has been the game changer in all of this, because you're moving from, we were just even talking about the excessively big telephones to the ones that were too expensive to buy. Then now everybody can own a telephone, and then the fact that you can basically make a call in most parts of this country.
Yeah,
there's still some problem somewhere, but
some limited areas.
Yes. But what has it been like going through this process? What has been the game changer in all this?
Yes, so investments.
Okay.
So when governments, under President Rawlings decided that, look, we've been trying to do this for a while, under Ghana Telecom, we're not getting the results. At that time, the World Bank and some of the multinational institutions were also applying pressure.
Okay.
So liberalization at the time was a wave going on around the world, and Ghana pragmatically also adopted, decided to liberalize the market, allow private capital, into the sector. And you would see that the bulk of this, including, even broadcasting, has been private capital. Okay. And like I said, a decision, once we create the enabling, and that is where the NCA became critical.
Okay.
If I'm an investor and I'm coming into the market and I see that there is a fair arbiter, okay, if I have an issue with another operator or even with a government incumbent operator, there is an independent entity that would, adjudicate the matter fairly.
Okay.
It means that my investment is safe. Okay, if I, convince people to put their money into my business, the risk is lowered because of the role of the regulator. Okay. When we make decisions, and we have also made some very critical decisions to direct the market. One of the things that we did, when the liberalization happened, there was an exclusivity on the international gateway. When we say international gateway, that is the calls that go in and out of the country. It was restricted to Ghana Telecom and Westel. But before the exclusivity would end, because that's when somebody calls you from abroad, the originating phone company also pays some money to the destination phone company. Because to complete the call, you have to use network resources on the host network. And so they pay that in forex if the call is coming from outside the country. So every network also wants part of that money. But before, it was limited to only Ghana Telecom and Westel. So they could, they were getting that juicy. All you did was to have a network for people, and then they would now terminate the call on other networks and pay them cedis. Okay, so they also wanted some of the
foreign exchange.
But we said, okay, if you want this, once the exclusivity period ended, if you want this, you have to fulfill some conditions. Condition number one, at that time, there were some regions, especially Upper West, that did not have any telephony at all, mobile telephony. We said, if you want to be eligible for international gateway license, you have to be present in all the 10 regions at the time.
That was a condition?
Yeah, it's a condition. And then your subscriber lines must have grown to at least 1% of the national population. So assuming at that time we're 20 million, or you have to have at least 2 million subscribers before you become eligible. What did they do? We want this. So now everybody begins to move. So that's how Scancom went to make them qualify for this. So some of the policies we have made has also spurred or directed the market to move in a certain direction. Okay, then we introduced what we call coverage obligations. So in some of the licenses that we gave, we said you have to be present in all the district capitals. In every district, you have to have presence. So you see, before it was, at least if you were in the capital, regional capital, you were okay. But now the regulatory directive is that by a certain period, you have to be in every district. So what does that do? it now drives them to expand the coverage, because as a private business, what they would typically do is to see where the numbers are.
Okay.
So they will roll out the network around the population centers. And so the districts that didn't have too many people, or they see the economic power of the place and it's not too strong, then they will delay, because everybody wants return on investment. But once that you have a condition to fulfill, it drives them to go. And surprisingly, a number of them found that the areas where they thought maybe these people can't even afford to buy the phone, but there were people in the big cities who will buy the phone and send to their people.
Okay.
You get me? So they suddenly found that some of the places where hitherto by their analysis, they wouldn't make money, they started making money
there. Okay.
Okay. And then, but it started with policy, regulatory direction, and then it gets them there, and then the business takes over. And we found at some point that, there are some areas that would never make economic sense for anybody to go by themselves. So the ministry, working together with the regulator and the operators, came up with an idea that we have to have a fund. Okay, today that fund is called GIFIC, the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communication, where Fianko Computer heads now. Yeah, but at the time, it was called Giftel. It started as an arrangement where all the networks will contribute something out of their revenue. So we agreed on 1% of their revenue to be contributed into a fund, so that that fund will be used to bridge the gap between the areas that are underserved or unserved. So that was what led to the establishment of Giftel, which became GIFIC when the law it became law in 2008. Yeah. So this is how progressively. So GIFIC also now established common infrastructure facilities, so that instead of everybody going to build a tower, there will be a common tower built by the fund. Then everybody can put their radios on. Okay. Later on, GIFIC also led the establishment of about a rural telephony network, some 2016 telephone sites. About more than half of these have been deployed. So some of the small, so these are small telephone sites. Some of those sites now, you see that the traffic has grown and exceeded the capacity of the rural telephony sites. And the telcos are now going there to take it over. The minister's policy now is that where the rural site is saturated, the commercial, there's a change of policy. The previous minister thought otherwise. But now the direction is that let's relocate the site to a new place, so that the MNOs can now deploy commercial sites in those places. So gradually, the target is to reach everybody, so that there will be nobody in Ghana who doesn't have a connectivity, and that's in areas that are underserved. They are so far from the edge of the cell. Sometimes they have to climb trees. So I saw a photo. They have to. There's a particular spot they notice that they get reception. People go and hang their phones there. But gradually, both government policy and regulatory direction is working towards eliminating all of those things over time.
Okay. So still the investments are continuing to improve. But are you happy with the quality currently? Because so far, places like Accra, sometimes it's mind-boggling to be complaining about quality of service provided. Are you satisfied?
If I say satisfied, no, because there's still room for improvement. But quality is relatively better. Okay, I say relatively. Considering that the usage is more now than it used. Let me just explain, because I heard one of your callers, or maybe one of your panelists here, saying that even sometimes the phone is next to each other.
Yeah, I was the one who
said you said that. So the way it works is that there's a site. The network is not designed for the calls to connect 100% of the time. It's just by design. It's a shared infrastructure. Every base station or every site has its capacity. The number of calls. Let's talk voice first. The number of calls they can connect at a time. It's a shared infrastructure. Sometimes it can be congested, meaning that there are more people using the site than its capacity. Okay, so the network can say that it is busy. Okay, but you may try a few seconds later and it will go through because maybe somebody's call has ended and the resource has been released. So that's one of the reasons. I'm saying it is a design issue. We can't design because that would mean sometimes having capacity that you don't need. Remember that there's a peak period in the day where the calls are more. And then there are times when the network is underutilized. So we have to design it assuming that this is the optimum to allow, the majority of the calls. So even in the past, the requirement was that the call drop rate was 3%, meaning that of all the millions of calls that are made, by design, if 3% of the calls dropped, it was okay by the conditions of the license. What we have just done last month was to reduce that threshold to 1%.
We are now at 1%.
Yes. Well, I'm saying that's the directive now. So what it means is that
now?
No, so I'm saying that we are going through, we've announced, we've communicated that we have changed the rule now. Before, if 3%, and we are talking millions of calls, so if 3% dropped, it was okay. It means that they have still passed the regulatory requirement. Now we have increased the marking scheme. You don't pass if it's 3%. You don't pass if it's 1.5%. You can only pass if it is 1%. What it means is that on some of the sites, you have to increase the capacity. You get me? It also requires investment. So what we will typically do is that after we've sent out this requirement, we'll allow some 3 months for them to, do some upgrades, etc. And then we start checking again to see that they are complying. Exactly. So we are expecting that let's say by third quarter this year, we'll see some marked improvement in the quality. One of the decisions that was made last year by the policymaker, the minister, was to give us a directive to release more spectrum to the market. Which also enhances, because you need spectrum to be able to enhance the capacity of the sites. So that's also one of the things. For data also, you need spectrum to improve the speeds and the data experience. So those are all measures that we have put in place. So we are expecting that from third quarter of the year, we should begin to see some of these decisions translating into improved service quality. The other thing is that there are some parts of the city that hitherto were not built up. So on the periphery of the city, some of these, sprawling developments, East Legon Hills, Katamanso, Amasaman, so you see that the inner city, Amasaman, is covered. All these new developments, they struggle with quality. So, the networks they have to expand to these new sites. So you may get service, but it's not very good because you may be at the edge of the cell. Sometimes even if the demand is very high, even the coverage can shrink a bit. So what do they have to do? They have to plant a new site there, which is also investment. They plan for these things. I'm aware that each of the networks, and they've shared their plans with us, the number of new sites that they are going to build this year to improve coverage in some of those areas. But it also takes time. So you have the budget, you have to acquire the site. And it's something that I want to use this platform to encourage the community. Sometimes, EPA has to give permits for the site to be put up. The district assembly has to give permits for the site to be put up. When it comes to EPA, part of their processes also requires community engagement. But you find that some of the communities resist.
They resist
the siting of the tower. Some people are worried that it can fall down. It's too close to my house. Some people are worried that they say it gives cancer. It's not true. The microwave in your room is using radio frequencies to create the heat in a controlled environment. You are comfortable using it.
They are afraid of cell
but the one that is far from you, it is meters above you. Okay. We do measurements. We work with the RPI, the Radiation Protection Institute, and we do measurements. There are some limits called ICNEP metrics that are global. We are far below the limits when we take the measurements on all the bands. We are far below the limits, so we know it's safe. You know, and it's not something that it's like it will affect you or not affect me. It affects me too. I mean, we are surrounded by the radio waves. And in fact, if you take radio, for example, your power is far higher than the power of a telephone tower.
Really?
Yeah, not the tower, the radios on the telephone, on the telephony mast.
Okay.
Yeah, because, you know, so that's why they are small cell. You know, you are using one transmitter to cover the whole of Accra and other regions, but they have to do a lot more.
To be able to cover the same
exactly
area.
Also because their frequency is higher than yours, you also have a lower frequency, so your signal will travel further. Okay, but in terms of power, the broadcasting transmitters shoot more power than the you get me. So I would encourage the citizenry that it's a chicken. We can't improve the service if we can't have the towers. Okay, sometimes it may be on top of buildings. Sometimes we also may use aesthetically more appropriate towers that don't look like these giant ones, so that you don't even see. There are some that will look like trees. Okay, so that we can disguise it a bit. It makes people feel comfortable, not thinking that, you know, this thing is going to fall on me or something. So please support. We've had some communities who will write and say, look, we have a site for you. Tell them to come and set up. Which is very helpful.
There are communities that offer.
Yeah, because it's like there was even one community, a church offered land. Say, look, we'll give you the land so that you serve the whole community. Okay, so it's helpful that we get the support for the sites. The other problem that also affects quality, which we will need help with, is the fiber cuts. Like yesterday, a deputy minister complained about, you know, coverage in Afram Plains. But then the networks also report that they've suffered several fiber cuts within the area. So this is how the traffic works, both for voice and data. All the sites have to be connected. Okay, all the sites, like the site can't remain isolated. It has to be connected to the network. So the connection is done in two ways. We have, you see these round dishes that you see on the towers.
Yes,
it's a microwave link. Which is a point-to-point microwave link. And then there's also fiber, which often is passed underground, which we don't see. The fiber has more capacity. So especially for data, if the sites that are connected by fiber have better data because they can carry more traffic. Okay, but then people are cutting the fiber. Sometimes it is construction, road construction. They are laying water pipes, and then they cut. People are digging. I heard a funny story. So they put layers there to warn you that there's a fiber there. Somebody was digging. They saw the thing. They removed it and tied their waist with it and continued digging when it was supposed to warn them that. And you see, unlike copper, copper, people had use for copper. They could sell the metal for, so people will steal it. As for the fiber, it is glass. When you cut it, it's not useful. Like you've just destroyed it.
So you have to lay a new one.
Or fix it. You know, we have to, and it's expensive. But then the downtime. So all these fiber backbones or, links, we've done them in rings so that if it's cut here, we can reroute the traffic there. But sometimes you suffer the cut in about 3 points.
So it's difficult to...
Yeah, and sometimes one fiber cut can disconnect several sites depending on where the cut is. Because, it's a network. It's linked in many ways. So you can have an aggregation of sites that are all joining a particular backbone fiber. If that one is cut, then all those sites are also disconnected. And, they move very quickly to try to resolve them. But sometimes it takes some time, even to know where the break is. before you would fix it, and it might take some days. So when people experience quality deterioration, sometimes some of these things, so we beg the road contractors especially, there's a big push as you are building the big push projects. Please be mindful where we share data with the Ghana highways, and we expect that they will also caution the contractors to pay attention to where the services are, so that they don't disrupt them. Sometimes, if we know in advance, there are some of the projects that have been very well managed. They would write to us, we would send people and coordinate. So sometimes before they work on a certain area, we inform the MNO, and they go and relocate the fiber.
Okay.
You get me? Okay. So that there's no disruption. And now they are beginning to lay some of the fiber overhead.
Okay.
So that, the digging and things don't disrupt it. Yeah.
I see. What about tariffs? Can it go down any further? I know we have made a lot of progress on where we started.
So last year, the policy maker, the minister, led some work on, so we worked with him and the industry to make some adjustments downwards on the tariffs. I can't promise that it will go down further. The reason I say that is that we need investment to keep improving the service, to keep expanding it, to keep, and if you keep investing, you have to get some return on the investment to keep doing it. Otherwise, we may not be able to keep growing and keep expanding and improving the service as we would like. So it's our job as the regulator is to balance all the interests. We balance the government interest, because we sell spectrum to raise money for the National Treasury. The networks also have to invest, and they need to get a return on their investment. The consumers are a very key stakeholder. The thing needs to be affordable for them to keep using it. So our job is to balance all these interests and keep it optimum. You get me?
Yes.
So that the networks are not making exorbitant return. The consumers are also paying a fair price that is not, too high. So our job, sometimes you have no idea the fights that we have in there. There are things that say they want to increase the price of this. We say no, not approved. You get me? But we don't come out to say all these things. For the work of a regulator, in balancing all these things, it's not everything that is necessary for the public consumption. But we fight a lot of battles on behalf of the consumer. There are some promotions, the terms and conditions. There's a team that will check that, so we have a billing verification platform. Okay, that you said that if somebody bundles this, they will get this. We check all that. And when we find that, you haven't communicated something, sometimes when we say the thing is ambiguous, okay, what you are telling the public is not clear, and we get them to clarify it. What do you get when you pay? You pay for this, etc. We go to the customer service points. We check how they are serving customers, etc. And we have a second line complaints. The encouragement is that if you have an issue, complain to the service provider. If you are not getting through to them, or you are not getting, acceptable resolution to the issue, complain to the NCA. We have a toll-free line, 0800 30 30 30, which we adopted a number this year to sync with our 30th anniversary. And we think it's also easy for people to remember. 0800, any number that is 0800 is toll-free. So 0800 30 30 30. And in line with His Excellency's 24-hour economy vision, our call center is also, the call center is also now 24 hours, so that people can complain throughout the day.
Well, then, because to wrap up, there's the part about yourself, and also there's also the other part about us, those of us in the broadcasting space. There's proliferation. In fact, in Accra, the radio stations and TV stations are uncountable. A lot of progress made thus far, but what do you hear? What do you think is the challenge within that space now?
Well, I think we have saturation.
Okay.
Left to us alone, maybe there are some that would have, suppressed, to enhance especially the economic viability.
Okay.
Because radio, the business of radio is selling attention. Okay, so you have good programs, people listen to you, and then people pay you to reach the audience that you have with their own messages or adverts. That's the business of radio. The more stations there are, it means that the advertising market is fragmented among these. However, the challenge we have is that, like when we started this conversation, I mentioned the constitutional provision that you don't even need a license for any form of mass media. The reason people need a license for the electronic media is that you need to you need authorization for the frequency per the Supreme Court determination. Yes. And now the NCA Act and the Electronic Communications Act have those provisions. The law doesn't allow us to deny applications except for the frequency reasons. So if there's no constraint on frequency in a location, then we don't have a legally viable reason to say we won't grant you. But the applications keep coming. We can't say yes to everybody.
Even within Accra?
Accra today is difficult. I may not find the frequency. I may not find the frequency. Okay. But it's a dynamic process. Sometimes a station is revoked. The authorization is revoked because they have failed to meet certain requirements, or they have failed to renew the authorization. And then if after a while they don't, remedy, then it might become available to other people to be assigned. Yeah, but other than that, so that's the constraint. So in this constitutional review, I am hoping that this issue will be addressed so that it gives us, like we can do in other markets where we can make a regulatory decision that we have restricted the number, based on either economic analysis or regulatory impact assessment. But for broadcasting, we don't have the legal mandate to have those restrictions.
So the biggest challenge is the constitutional provision makes it difficult for you.
Exactly. We don't regulate content also. So even when there is charlatanic content, charlatanic advertising, there is indecent content, etc. We as NCA are not able to make, because people blame us that why are all these things on TV? We are not by law permitted to regulate the content. So we are a technical regulator as far as broadcasting is concerned. We are hoping that if the constitutional provisions will be amended in this process, it will allow us to regulate it more holistically. Or another body, there's a National Media Commission, we don't know who will be, but we collaborate with them. As far as the law requires us to collaborate with them as far as broadcasting regulation is concerned. They sit on the board of the NCA. And on matters of content, we would take advice from them. So if they advised us that it is not in the public interest for this station to continue broadcasting, we can suspend the authorization. Yeah, and you said you're wrapping up. I need to correct this thing that came up last year that I came here to close down your station. I wasn't here. I was at the NCA, but I wasn't here. Yeah, so it's important that the listeners know that. And the gentleman in the video that was circulating is still a staff of the NCA. It's my job to protect all my staff. And it's the reason that I didn't come up to say, it wasn't me, it was this guy. I don't want anybody going after him. So yes, once any decision we make as far as broadcasting is concerned is based on technical issues, either technical by way of breaching any technical regulation, or legal in terms of people not paying their fees, or maybe failing to renew the authorization. Sometimes the renewal of authorization, people fail because they haven't filed their taxes, so they don't get tax clearance certificate. You need to get your SNIT clearance that you are paying the SNIT of your staff. You need to get all those things in place, and some people fail to to do some of those things, and it's the reason why they get into trouble with us.
How's the DTT platform faring?
Okay, so it's working. The only challenge is that the stations on the platform do not pay fees. Matters have gone to the court. So it's the government that has been funding about 42 transmitters. You run a transmitter,
Yes.
how much electricity you have to pay.
Yes.
Okay. Government has deployed solar even on most of these sites to reduce the cost. But the stations have to begin to make payment. Any attempt that has been made to get them to start contributing has been met with legal.
Is the arrangement different from ours? The DTT.
Are you on DTT?
I'm not sure.
No, you are not.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
but on satellite, you pay.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why it's not fair.
Okay.
That some broadcasters are subsidized by the government and others are not.
Are not.
Yeah.
I see. So your biggest problem now is how to generate money.
So, but the minister has set up a committee to look at that. I think before the issue had also been approached. I don't like to criticize, but it's a continuum. So the current minister has taken it. The platform. We are a regulator. We don't run the platform.
Okay.
It is the government that owns it. Okay. So, and by the policy, there was supposed to be an entity that would manage it on behalf of the government.
Okay.
So the minister is taking those steps by bringing the team together. What the broadcasters are asking for is transparency in how the price is reached. Okay. So the minister has taken them up, formed a committee that involves GIBA, GBC, the ministry, NCA, so that all these stakeholders will work together. What is a fair rate for them to pay? And remember, this network came up in 2016.
Yeah.
So it's been 10 years that they've paid nothing. And government has been, and sometimes the NCA...
Some people have a lot of channels.
NCA funds have been used to, make the payment on behalf of government. And
so you are subsidizing all those suffers who have 3-4 channels on.
If it's on the national DTT platform and it's not proper, I don't encourage that. So, but the minister has taken action.
Okay.
I trust that this would see this matter to a logical conclusion, and the stations will begin to make some contributions. And for all those people, some of them we didn't give it to them. There's also a secondary market where people can acquire a license from another entity and seek approval from the NCA to transfer. Okay, so there are some people that we didn't give a license to them, but then they acquired it from third parties.
Do those people charge them for it?
That one is
it's an arrangement between them, but you approve it ultimately.
But I mean, for example, like you asked me about Accra frequency. I don't have to give you. Okay, now somebody wants it. Maybe somebody too is struggling or may have lost interest in the business. They will agree that, okay, can I take over your... So when it comes, except if maybe there are some issues raised about, because we also do some security checks. Except for that reason, we will not decline approving the transfer.
One more before I come to how you are celebrating. We are 30 years, you are 30 years. Is it 2 or 3 years ago, you decided to do some experiment on, is it pilot?
Yeah,
putting some radio stations on. But you decided to ignore your fellow birthday mates and you didn't add us. We still insist that we should be added.
Yes.
But in the meantime, how is that pilot going?
No, so we've completed the pilot.
Okay.
So you will observe that it's down. Okay. It's down now.
Okay.
Well, we began a process to license a commercial operator to take it up. Okay. So that now it won't even depend on... but you know how these decisions are made.
So
at the time.
Out of it. Okay.
If the decision is made today, you know what the outcome would be.
Okay. But how are you celebrating your 30 years?
So we did a launch, as you mentioned, and thanks for the support. We have a series of activities lined up for the year. Okay. Some are just for the NCA staff. We had a NCA style series, different days that will do different things. That is just to build, the team spirit and camaraderie among the staff. Okay. Then we have those that we are going to engage, the public. Like the launch was a public one. We have some CSR activities that will be public. We'll have a climax in December.
Okay.
That would we are hoping that His Excellency the President will join us as the first board chairman of the NCA.
Okay.
Yeah, he knows the institution very well, and we are hoping that he will join us. We are writing a book to document 30 years of regulatory communications regulation in Ghana. We'll be producing a number of documentaries. It's unfortunate that Mr. Bafuboni is no more with us, but it's somebody would have featured as one of the pioneering. So we'll be doing documentaries each month, focusing on one sector of the industry. So internet, how did internet come in? We want to interview Professor Nina Kukweno, and some of the pioneering Mr. Richard Hilomado, and all the pioneering internet service providers, and Anaya Tenaifa, and all those people, Yvette Aduno, and all the pioneering, and we'll produce a documentary that will be airing at the end of every month. So we'll do internet, we'll do mobile telephony, we'll do broadcasting, radio, TV, and then in December we'll have one that would kind of summarize the 30 years. So that's one of the things. We think that we have to keep these records, document them also for posterity. Yeah, we are hosting some, we are bringing Africa to celebrate with us. In April, we'll be hosting an African Telecom Union preparatory meeting in Accra, so that we would have all our sister countries in Africa joining us for the celebration. Yeah, so these are some of the activities that we've lined up to celebrate our 30th anniversary.
You've seen 22 years of the NCA. How much has it changed over the last 30 years?
Yeah, it has grown. I think it's one of the very well run. I remember one DG was surprised that I've only worked at the NCA. He said he thought I'd come from private sector. I said no. So you will see the NCA has been very well run. We are not your typical public service institution. Very very well run organization. You've seen the development. We started from first Rangoon Close in cantonments. And now we have offices spread around the country. We have, and mini NCA towers in Kumasi, in Takrade, in Koforidua, in Ho, in Bolga, in Tamale, and Sunyani will be completed this year. It shows you also the importance that the sector is even within the national construct.
Nice. It was nice to host you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Reverend Engineer Edmund Fianko is the Director General of the NCA in his 30th year. He's been there for quite a while. It's over the greater part of 2 decades. Anyway, congratulations.
Thank you.
So we're talking about 30 years of the National Communications Authority. And thank you very much for contributing to this particular discussion, because he heard you and he responded to some of the issues you raised. I hope that responses are adequate for you. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll turn to other issues.
Yeah!